Hey, here's Chris Hoke again, coming to you from the man cave where I do all of my writing and editing. Let's talk a little bit about two things. First, space where you want to write. It's important to me. When I write, I want to make sure all my stuff's done. Um, Odds and end chores that we all have. Do your checkbook balancing. Take out the trash. And I always I can't write. I just woke up. I need a shower. I need to be there. I like to write at night. Frankly, I don't even bother writing during the day anymore. And space. There's this whole myth of writing a great novel in a coffee shop or something, and that might work for one out of 100 people, maybe that they get something written, their college thesis or whatever. But I think that's all just a bunch of urban myth stuff. I think that you need to find a comfortable space for you. If that is a coffee shop, okay, I can't relate to that, but go for it. But me, it's my man cave. This is where my TV is and my stuff is. I'm surrounded by my Star Wars stuff and my U2 stuff and my Tennessee Titans, Houston Oilers stuff, and this is all the stuff I like surround me. But this is home to me, and all my Blu-rays are over there, and my DVDs are over there, and I will sometimes put on one of them just to play that I'm comfortable with. This is home. This is where the kids hang out, and this is my safe place for writing. So find your space is my point to tell you. As a writer, find your space. It's important. It gets your creative juices flowing. It makes you feel comfortable. It feels safe. And that's what works for me. Maybe it don't work for you. Maybe you need the Starbucks. I don't get that. So if you're out there and you think you need to be that guy that's like riding in a Starbucks and it doesn't feel comfortable, well, there's a reason it doesn't feel comfortable because you shouldn't be there doing that. Go to a place that works for you. You have to be comfortable in your element in order for you to be successful writing. I firmly believe that. Now, part two of today is more about nuts and bolts. Character, protagonists. Your protagonist is the person we're going to see the movie through. Now, I know this is pro, so it means positive, whatever, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean that they're like a perfect good guy. Sometimes when you think, well, he's the main character of the movie, he should be good. Well, no, sometimes the movie is through the eyes of a bad person or an anti-hero. Just because they're protagonists doesn't mean they're good necessarily. Okay, it can mean all kinds of things. Protagonist could be a dog. Protagonist could be a cat. It can be. It's who the protagonist basically is who we're going to see this story through, and who we are latching the audience to watch this movie. Okay, so that is basically who a protagonist is. You have to have a good character. If you don't have a good character, your story is pointless. I am bringing up character now in these tutorials because that's how important it is. You have to develop strong characters, or else the story is pointless. There's all kinds of great concepts that's out there. And you watch a high concept movie and it falls to pieces because the characters are weak. Well, I mean, look at Spielberg in the 80s would have these high concept movies, and they were built around a character. E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Jaws, and his movies that were built around strong characters worked. And the ones that didn't, 1941, Always, so on and so forth, they don't. And that should show you right there. You have to have a strong character at the center of it. You have to have somebody that we can relate to. And you also can't be afraid, and you should not be afraid. In fact, fear should be a part of it. You have to do this. You have to give your protagonist some flaws. For example, Cinderella. Cinderella was abused, and she was mistreated, and she had to kiss the feet of her stepsisters and stepmother, and she was just beat down, and she tried to remain, humble and graceful, and she wanted so much to go to the ball, and she just had a hard time of it, and she gets the fairy godmother, and she kind of gets to go, and she can only go till midnight or whatever, blah blah blah, and she's she's beaten down. It's not an easy task for her. She's cleaning floor, even though she's beautiful. She's the one having to clean floors and stuff like that. So it's not all pretty and nice for her. And you remember Cinderella to this day. You also remember the villains, but we'll get back to that. Villains are another show. So basically, you remember her because of all of the bad stuff that she got to go through, part of her life, and just has to deal with. The Prince, the perfect Mr. Prince, you know who Cinderella is in a heartbeat. The Prince, you have no clue. He's Mr. Perfect. He's an ideal. He's an idea. He's not really a character. He's an idea. Okay? See the difference? You don't remember him. You just know he's like Prince Charming. He's like perfect. What's he look like? Well, you got 3 different people to describe him 3 different ways. Cinderella, everybody knows what Cinderella is. So, see the point? It's a very basic 101 way of putting it. But characters need flaws. Mad Max, the Road Warrior, flawed. You remember Mad Max. The Road Warrior, got the steel brace on his knee, loner, quiet, stoic, doesn't want anything to do with anybody, pull a gun in a heartbeat, flawed. Dirty Harry, slightly chauvinistic, slightly racist, fascistic. You remember Dirty Harry, 30 years later, 40 years later since the first Dirty Harry. You remember these characters. They're flawed. They're the protagonists, but they're flawed. So, I got to wrap it up. Let me give you this to go with. All right. Think of your character that you want to write, think your protagonist. What are their top 5 positive qualities? What are their top 5 negative qualities? And you need 5 of each. That'll give you a good starting point. You get more, but try not to have less. Even if it's little stuff, even if you have to start off with just like, hey, they hate cats, and your story has nothing to do with cats, but they hate cats. That's fine. Just get some negative out there along with your positive. People are always quick to make their main character a superhero, and the best superheroes are flawed. Batman, parents died, a loner, dark, brooding. Spider-Man, immature. Wolverine, violent, loner. Superman started off so squeaky clean that actually, if you watch the progression of his character over the decades, they made him more flawed because he was too clean. It didn't work. You have to give your character, your main protagonist, some flaws for them to work. And work on that. Top 5 positive qualities, top 5 negative qualities for your protagonist, who the people who watch your movie are going to identify with. Work on that, and we'll talk to you in lesson 3 coming soon.